Hey everybody, good morning, afternoon, night, whatever time of day you're doing this, I'm happy for you to be here. Today is one of the most important things I think we can go over. It's going to be shoulder flexion. It's the concept of can you get your arm all the way overhead without you compensating. Today's posture of us being forwardly rounded, kyphotic, is restricting our ability to get our arms overhead, which is increasing our risk of injury. If we're on a plane putting a bag overhead, or if we're in the gym doing a movement pattern, reaching for something, our risk of injury to our lower back, other parts of our body dramatically increase. So let's work on that today. The first thing we're going to start with, or the only equipment we're going to need today is going to be our TheraBand and our lacrosse ball. Got a little excited, I got ahead of myself. We're going to start with a 30-second timer on each side, and we're going to try to loosen up some of the tissue that's in our shoulder connecting to our pec. So I'm going to set a timer. We're going to lay face down, get our lacrosse ball right on our shoulder. From here, I search for a spot that's tender. When I find it, elbow up and down, taking deep breaths. Maybe we rotate, we turn our torso a little. Again, the tissue in the front of us gets tight, pulls us forward. The tissue of our upper back gets weak, lengthened, so we have to strengthen that. And we just got to loosen up this tissue here and slowly get our arms more overhead over time. And by doing that, we're going to start to gain that mobility back. Good. Let me switch sides here. Switch this guy up. Arm behind the back. The tight tissue, it's kind of like, I like the analogy, someone described it to me. It's like your tissue is like a sponge, and when you have dried tissue, and tight tissue, it's almost like you can't contract and stretch that tissue or else it's going to crumble apart. So you need to hydrate it, right? Like a dried sponge. So what we're doing here is we're trying to help promote blood flow and increase fluid dynamics to the area so that the tissue is healthier, so that we can manipulate it better and stretch it or activate it when we're trying to work out. And good. Okay. Next, I want us to work on stretching out some of that tight tissue that we just worked on massaging. So we're going to take our TheraBand, we're going to hook it up to a door, with our anchor. And we want it to be at about shoulder or chest height, okay? So whatever you have it anchored to. Now from here, I'm sitting, you can stand, you can do this in a half kneeling position, whatever you want. Most important concept is I want my arm to be at least at shoulder height or higher up, okay? And now from here, I turn my torso to the side away from the hand of the band, and I think of externally rotating my arm so the crease of my elbow is to the ceiling. I'm going to reset my timer for 30 seconds, and I'm just going to rotate my torso away from the band, maintaining that external rotation, and now I get to stretch out my pec and my shoulder. Be very slow here, don't rush this process. I don't want anyone hurting or tearing anything in the process of us trying to relieve tight tissue and tension. Deep breaths, turn your neck the other way. Nice and slow, my arm is relaxed. I'm not fighting against the band, it's just hanging behind me. And now we'll switch sides, give you another angle. Restart that timer. Again, externally rotate my arm, turn my torso, reach away. The external rotation thing is huge. If you guys are here, you're not going to stretch the tissue you want at all. You really have to think about trying to rotate your bicep to the ceiling, but rotating from your shoulder. Again, rotate away. A lot of the exercise selection us fellas like to choose in the gym is also a lot of pressing because we want to look good. It's the macho, big-chested, shouldered kind of thing. And doing too much of that, it again pulls us forward into bad posture. Okay, good. Now that we've stretched that tissue out, let's kind of replicate some getting our arm overhead, but by also stretching out some of this tissue. So now I have the band at a lower anchored spot. Okay, I'm going to stretch my lat out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my arm in a position next to my ear, okay, light with tension here. Again, if you're using a thicker band, you're going to have to walk closer to the object you have this set up at. But the goal is I'm trying to get my elbow to get pulled over my head back behind me. I'm going to reset my timer. You like that nose tap? Oh, it didn't work. This is what you got to do when you don't have a free hand. And again, I'm thinking of rotating my wrist to the ceiling. My elbow is close to my head, and I'm letting my elbow get pulled back behind my head, and that's stretching out all this tissue. Again, if I were to just straighten my elbow from here, I'm replicating that shoulder flexion position. The tissue of our lat, when it gets tight, it stops the upward rotation of our scapula from happening, and it hinders our ability to get our arm all the way overhead. And 30 there. Let me switch sides. Switch my legs too. Oh no, my timer. I got a free hand now though. That would have been an awkward nose position. Again, letting this arm get pulled back. Same concept. Now as you're stretching the tissue on both sides, pay attention and see, is one side tighter than the other? Ooh, it's uncomfortable in this position. I feel this here. If you're feeling this in your lower back, you're probably trying to arch your back too much to assist. Think of tucking your pelvis. But again, pay attention. Do you have less mobility on one side? Do you feel a bigger stretch on one side? I personally have less mobility on my right side. I broke and dislocated this when I was young, and I never got physical therapy, and I assume because of that, it just healed, scar tissue built up, and now I have slightly less overhead mobility. Okay, last thing we're gonna do. Again, let's replicate getting our hands overhead. We have a bench or a couch or something out in front of us. I'm gonna put my hands on that object. I'm gonna sit my weight back toward my heels. Let's set another 30-second timer. Oops, I put it for a minute. It's all right, I'll come up and check. Weight back to my heels. Take deep breaths, and again, I'm just letting my arms get pulled over my head. Relax in here. Breathe. Let the weight of your head sink down and pull your torso down with it. Maybe you rotate left to right a little and get a little more stretch in your lat. 5 seconds. You can reach through and rotate, switch sides, play around, have some fun with this, guys. That's the whole point of all of this. It should be somewhat fun. That's why I want these to be a morning routine, and we can just do a couple of minutes and get us into good habits and learn about our body. So that's it. Thank you for being here. Again, shoulder flexion is so important. I think it is one of the most popular hindrances within human movement, especially from upper body. It's the number one. So remember this protocol. We're going to keep coming back to things like this. I appreciate you for being here. Have a great day. Take care of yourself. Remember the important things in life for you, whatever they may be. Don't forget about them, and take care of your body in the process, okay? Love you. See you soon.